ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितं पुराणोऽयिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ततामि भगवद्गीते भगवद्वेषिणी.
So we'll start the paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is coming.
So is it
Swamiji.
yesterday's whatever you asked for? Those things are clear now. Is there any issue still?
Swamiji, going back to, I was reading through those four verses. After hearing to the video, after watching the video, page 375. I think we both have the same book now, Swamiji. Page
375.
375 and also 374. 374. Okay. In the operation of Shruti Pramana, you are not the Karta or even the listener. That paragraph, I am not able to understand.
See, that is what. When we say, actually what happens is, I have told you before also, that Indra Maya Bihi Guru Rupaha Iyate Pratiyate. That is the Upanishad Vakya. In the sense, when you can say, seeing happens, hearing happens, tasting happens, sense of touch happens, sense of smell happens. Only that much you can say your operation is the stimuli is. Whereas Karta and Bhokta are basically Antakarana Vritti. In the sense, you are projecting, you are bringing your mind into play and bringing your past experience, memory and all that and say, I am the Karta, I am the Karta doing the functioning of seeing. Whereas seeing happens because of Pramana Tantram and Vastu Tantram. That is what he says Pramana. Pramana meaning, see, eyes are there, eyes are open, object is there in front, seeing will happen. This you can very clearly understand when you are passing by the road. If there is a bad smell, whether you like it or not, you are not smelling the garbage, but still the garbage, the truck smell will come to you. That means you are not smelling, smelling happens. That is precisely what says Pramana. Karta and Bhokta is your projection. There is no Karta.
Okay.
That is precisely what is Pramana operation and your Ahankara. Both are, if the Ahankara is so greedy, anything that happens it will say, I am doing.
Okay.
So that is where you have to watch for. That is what the whole idea is all about. We have to be alert. The Sanityam should be there. That there is a being, there is a Niyanta, the Niyati. It all happens. The phenomenal things happen phenomenally. Natural things happen naturally. Don't try to appropriate Kartrutvam and Bhoktritvam. Karta is blessed by the being, but being is not Karta. Okay, Kartrutvam is only a deputation. For the purpose of doing Vyavahara, Bhagavan has given deputed Kartrutvam and Bhoktritvam to you. Not to say that I am the Karta.
What happened?
And the beauty is, we will say I am the Karta and Bhokta when everything goes well. When something doesn't go well, the Bhagavan has not taken care of.
Yeah.
So it's all misplaced. It's all the sense. It is there. It is there universally. Everyone is operating like that. That is where the problem is. Basically, we have got the whole wherewithal to understand and put everything in the proper perspective on the base of Pramana. Even the eyes, ears, and all are Pramana. They are all okay. It is purely because of the Tejomaya Antakarana Vritti, what they call the Antakaranam. Instead of just giving the Tejomayam to the all the samagris and objects and even the senses, sense perception. It is supposed to light up, that's all. As I have told you before, when you get into a dark room, all things are there. When you light up, first you think only the light, but you say I am seeing the objects. Actually, you are supposed to see light only. When you put on the light, you see light. But you take it for granted and say I am seeing the object and I like this object, I don't like this object. By bypassing the reality of light being there, you are losing the plot, basically. Then get into all problems. Whereas all the time if you are aware of the light and in the light of things happen, then you will be able to maintain a certain space between you, the light of consciousness and the things that are happening. So, okay, seeing happens, writing happens, hungry, eating happens, thirst, drinking happens. So all that, there should be that the karta should be upacharikam. Upacharikam means upacharam, that's all. What I am only doing is only an upacharam. It is because of the Lent, you have been given a loan of being a karta and bhukta by Bhagavan, that's all. Just for the temporary nimitta matram bhava. And you should not appropriate beyond that point. Then what will happen? You get so much identified, whatever happens, plus, minus and all, you are not able to fathom why it happens, what it happens. You get perplexed, you get confused, you get angry. All because of the projection. That is precisely what that means. That you are not the karta, you are not even the listener.
But Swamiji, that example you gave, you walk by a garbage, but then that smell that comes, I'm not smelling, it's only happening.
Yeah, exactly.
How does it happen?
It is because of that. It is because there is the light of consciousness. Light of consciousness lights up the mind. The mind lights up the nose, nostrils, and the sensory, all ophthalmic senses. They are supposed to be in science 6,000 varieties of fragrance. Your nose is capable of smelling 6,000 varieties. Just imagine. We can't even name it, except 4 5. We cannot even name it. But the ophthalmic nerves, which are inside, connected to the brain, can identify properly 6,000 kind of fragrances. But it's all happening in the niyati. It's all not your doing. It is all purely in the niyati, the chaitanyam, the order. It is the glory of the awareful being, the light of consciousness, the being's glory is all this.
But this is not attributed to the being. Am I correct? At the same time,
It's not attributed in the sense you are not alert, you are not aware of that. In the sense, in the light of this understanding, now you know, but generally we don't know.
Okay, but we say
We think that I am.
We say Atma is neither the karta nor the bhokta.
Yeah.
How does the smell happen?
Right. It is not, see, the happening is the niyati, as I told, it's an order. It is not because somebody is sitting there and appropriating the thing, I am the karta. Ishvara does not say I am the karta.
Okay.
Because Ishvara knows his Swarupa is the niyati is, Ishvara's Swarupa is the same Chaitanyam which is your Swarupa. It is the niyati, it is the order of being. It is the being, the reality, the whole Satyam, Sadeva Satyam which we are talking about. That Satyam is the reality understanding which is the Swarupa of it is timeless, spaceless, objectless being. Which I have told you, like Anuron, Aniyan, Mahato, Mahiyan. Like when the atom explodes, so much of matter and energy comes out. When smaller than atom and hydrogen explodes, much more matter and energy comes. In the same way, when you reduce that logic, extrapolate to zero level, being, which is zero meaning it is not time bound or space bound, it's not even an object, the being. When the being's glory is the whole Jagat, including your own glory and plus the glory of the world. All your Panchabhuta, inside Panchabhuta, outside the connection and the smell, even the smell and all. Now he is saying, Vacharampanam Vikaram Namadevam. He is saying that no, Nama nasa namachasa. All those words and meanings are all, it's all what you call, it's all in the language, time immemorial, it has been there. We think that is reality. Apple is not a reality. Apple is a name given by, and all of us commonly agree, this fruit, if it looks right, it's called apple, that's all. It's all purely our own projection. But reality is only the being. If you dissect apple, it will have a cover. So many things are happening inside. We really don't know how it became a fruit and all that. And that is what in Chandogya Upanishad, the Uddalaka explains to the student how he says how I am not able to fathom how from this awareful being which is not having a dimension, is not even an object, how can this world can come? Then he says, he is sitting under a tree, Antipadam. He asks him to open the seed. First he says, remove the bunch of fruits, the very small fruits. They remove the fruits. Then he remove one fruit. Then he says, remove the pulp and give me one seed. The very great difficulty, he takes out one seed. Then he says, open the seed. And inside there are many seeds. And open that inside seed, he says, a lot of effort he makes and opens. And he finds nothing is inside. From this nothing is inside, the whole banyan tree has come. For immemorial it has been coming. In the same way, but it is not that nothing is there. It is there. All glory is there. We are not able to see. And even empirically, even the science will be able to see at some point in time, it will say, we don't know beyond this.
Actually, Swamiji, we have heard this. How many times? I don't know, I have heard this Uddalakas. But only now I am able to at least fathom little bit of it, no?
That is the beauty of the whole. The reality is, that is what even I fathom. Honestly, I have been telling this to so many people. Every time I get into a conversation, I always tell, right now we are all there. I am able to see my body, mind, senses, emotions, anything, name it, whatever name and form I can see. And that I, the being which is able to see all these things, naturally has to be away from this. And it has no form, no name, no time, no space. But still, I cannot say, I need not objectify because I am there, I know. I cannot objectify is one thing, but I need not objectify is the beauty. And but I am there, I know. That I we are talking about. That is the Swarupa of Sat. That is the Swarupa of Vishwara. That is the Swarupa of this world. But you give it a name and say this is outside, this is inside. These are all Panchabhuta inside, Panchabhuta outside. And give a name. This is a fruit, this is a tree, this is a plant, this is an animal, this is a human being. All these things. The whole variety of our transactions of Vyavahara, its beauty is Mithya glory of Sat. Mithya glory means dependent glory. Because of the light of consciousness, like even a lighting, a dark room gets lighted, all things start you seeing. The same way, the light of consciousness brings the whole world alive. And that Sat we are talking about. That is what he is saying here as what is that? Now, what is the thing? What is the context now? Kshetram Kshetranya and Jnanam Jnayam. The Jnaya Vastu is nothing but that Sat. That Sat is not the object Sat. Sat is the being Sat. That is what he is trying to say.
So,
And
very clear. In fact, if you look at when you talked about the 6,000
Olfactory nerves.
smell,
Olfactory.
olfactory.
we are trying to name any particular smell because of the past knowledge.
Yeah.
If that is the smell is like this, it is because of the rotten rat.
Yeah, it's all Pratibhijna. All over, I tell you, the whole knowledge what we are talking about, Shastra uses a technical term called Pratibhijna. Pratibhijna meaning memory. Whereas Shastra very clearly tells Pratibhijna is not Jnanam. It is purely memory. The whole world, our past, present, future and all the time itself is a memory. Without memory there is no time. So time itself is a mental, in philosophy they call it a major term. Major term meaning is purely your mind, mental thing, time and space. There is no time and space. If you look at the reality of the being, Sat, next moment Sat, next moment Sat, next moment Sat. Even the next moment we say from the memory of time, but there is no next moment. Sat, 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 Sadeva Satyam. So the reality, the whole, whatever we say our being is nothing but the reality. In that there is no time or space or object. In that situation, if we are able to be that, just be the awareful being, then there is no Vyavahara, neither Ishvara is there nor you are there. You are just the being. And we only say that the whole thing is we are able to get to this understanding in the human birth after all these things. Ishvara Anugraha Deva. And once we get into this, thereafter there is no differentiation between Ishvara and you, Ishvaroham. And stay there. And then what you do? When you go out, you do Vyavahara. Natural things happen naturally. When you are hungry, go and eat. When you are thirsty, go and drink. When you have to do some office work, do office work. It is presenting before you. On the basis of what you have done yesterday, today you will do something. Tomorrow you will do something else. It will go on. Life goes on. It is not because you have to identify yourself with the life, which is a projection. Because of that, life happens. No. Life happens. Like even a smell happens when you walk through a garbage. So we are appropriating because of our habit. Viparita Bhavana, which have come with from generations, from Janmas. We carry this. And we have to drop it. And that we are finding it difficult. That is why all this process of vichara, by our understanding gets consolidated. Then we do all arguments like questions we ask and get it clarified. And then we do nididhyasana, contemplation. Whenever you contemplate, you must be able to contemplate as the being. I am the being. I am the awareful being. Anything that comes, I am able to see that. Suddenly a dark barks in the distance. I am seeing the dark barking. The barking is a sound. I identify it as a dog barking because of my memory. Actually, it is only a bunch of sound. The sound is coming lighted up by my mind. That mind is lighted up by my being. Like that, you come to the being again. Even in the contemplation, you come to the being, even though you first hear the barking of the dog. So everything reduce it. Drishya anuvidya dhyanam, sabda anuvidya dhyanam. Two kinds of contemplations are there. Either you reduce it all to the being, or whatever you hear, don't get distracted. Observe it. When you get a distracting sound, observe it and reduce it to sound. Reduce it to the light of consciousness. Reduce it to the being and just be. So this way, nothing will distract you. And when you get out of the contemplation and come into the world also, like Shruti, it will be the being, the reality will be like a Shruti in the back of your mind. But you will do the Vyavahara. And for that, Apramatta, the alert living is important. At no point in time must get carried away and get identified as a Karta Bhokta. So this is the tapas. That is why it's called tapas. Tapa alochane. Shastra says tapa alochane. Having the clarity and understanding, growing clarity and understanding is a tapas. It is not just japa. Japa is not tapas. Tapas is growing clarity and understanding at all times.
Swami,
So that is what we are doing.
this is Drishya Anuvitta Jnanama.
Drishya anuvidya dhyanam, contemplation, dhyanam, and sabda anuvidya dhyanam. These are all, once you get to the contemplation, there these things will be mentioned. It will come somewhere, it will come.
Swami, and also one more thing, that the next page, 75, while last for 5 lines, while perception is the root pramana, because all other pramanas depend on it, Shabda is considered to be the last pramana. What is the last pramana?
Yeah, Shabda meaning Shastra.
Shastra.
Here he talks about Shabda means Shastra, not sound.
Okay.
Shabda means Shastra. The other pramanas are all perception, like seeing, hearing, all they are called perceptions. Okay. Whereas Shabda is considered the last Pramana because once you have used all this your lifetime in Janmas, you have been using only the perception and conception. You perceive and then because of your memory you conceive. This is what your world is.
Yes.
Pratyaya. That is what is called Pratyaya. Actually, Pratiti is the stimuli and Pratyaya is name and form. Whereas beyond Pratyaya, beyond Pratiti, the light of consciousness is the only reality. That is what that particular Upanishad sentence says. Indro Mayabihi Pururupaha Iyate Pratiyate. Even Indro Mayabihi, what he says is, even your light of consciousness, as I said, from the part when 5 beams come out of the holes, you see 5 beams of light. Actually, there is no 5 beams of light. There is only light of consciousness. But you say hearing, seeing, smelling, etc. That itself is mithya, he says. There is no seeing. And they say, Shastra Kathopanishad is Malini Karanam. It is, your mind is getting stained by this Panchabhuta. Because light is alone there. You are the only light. Everything else, a vibhuti, a mithya vibhuti of you, or you can say Ishvara, either way. Ishvara knows, you don't know, that's all. That's what Bhagavan says. Ajo pisanna, ve atma pisanna, bhutanam ishvaro pisanna, prakritim swam adhishtaya, sambhavami atma mayaya. And if you understand it, you can also say, sambhavami atma mayaya. That's all. He doesn't use Brahman. He is that, or not even Ishvara. He says atma mayaya. Atma is you. So that is a glory of our glory it is.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. So let us.
Yeah, we will start the paragraph.
Yeah.
It cannot be revealed by any particular word, and that is why Shruti says, from which words return having not reached, yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa.
Yeah. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Meaning, vachaha means words, and manasa meaning the meaning that is there in your, as I told, pratipijna, the meaning that for that particular word, apple means this, that is there in your manas, your buddhi. So, these two, vacha and manasa, they cannot objectify the light of consciousness. Because the light of consciousness makes it, you are able to see vacha and manas because of light. Not Vacha and Manas, they don't have the capacity to see, because they get the capacity to see only because of the light of consciousness, awareness being. So they cannot see. So since they are not able to see, they are nivartante aprapya, not able to see the being, they come back empty-handed. It's just a poetic way of saying that. Yato vacho nivartante comes back. Aprapya, not having found the being, awareness being, comes back. Manasa saka, manasayo action undurudhu. Because you let us go back. Let us surrender. That is the idea. Yeah.
Having made their attempt and finding it not possible, words become silent. Where words fail, the mind can appreciate certain things, like emotions. But here, along with the words, the mind returns manasa saha. To know the Atma, the mind has to reverse itself. When it turns towards Atma, it disappears in the sense that the mind is known, has no form.
No, mind is nothing.
No. Mind is nothing but
Nothing but
vrittis.
vrittis, and the vritti
Thoughts.
with which
Vrittis means
Atma
thoughts.
is known has no form.
Akanda
Akandakara vritti.
Kanda akara vritti means no vritti basically. Just an expanse, an infinity. Yeah.
The mind itself cannot make an attempt to know Atma, nor can it have any experience of Atma, because the mind is Atma. To destroy the ignorance about Atma, you require a simple vritti, which itself goes away, having dispelled the ignorance. That vritti is created by Vedanta Vakya. Thus, when it says, na sat tat, na asat, there is no contradiction.
Yes, what happened?
Swami, you have to mute.
How can he mute? No,
I have to mute.
share screen.
Don't worry, I don't have anything to share.
Okay. No, we heard lot of noise.
But I am hearing you clearly.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Though the negation is complete with this, still possibility it has to be revealed.
Yeah.
Shankara introduces the next verse and says when it is not an object of the word Satya, as a part is, there can be a doubt that it is non-existent. To remove that doubt, he shows the existence of that which is to be known, Nyaya, by saying that it is a casual upadhi,
Causal.
upadhi of all beings.
Yeah. See, there are two things. Existent and non-existent we are showing. But what we are saying is existence is the reality. Not existent meaning existent because of some instrument, that is existence. Non-existent on the basis of using that like you are saying it is non-existent or existent. We are not talking about an existent object or a non-existent object. So when the Shastra says it is neither existent nor non-existent, people will be confused. Right? All that we deal with in life is either existent or non-existent. If you are denying both, then how do I know? Then it says existence is your reality. That is what he is going to say. Positively, he is going to say that. Yeah.
Verse 13. Sarvata pani padam tat sarvadochi shiro mukam sarvata sriti malloke sarvamavritya tishtati tat. That sarvataha panipadam panipadam, the one who has hands and feet on all sides.
Okay.
On all sides, sarvataha akshi siro mukam, the one who has eyes, heads and mouths on all sides. Sarvataha srutimat, the one who has ears on all sides. Loke, in the bodies of the people. Sarvam avartya.
Why we are having a lot of noise in this?
Is your mobile nearby? Just check whether your mobile is nearby or something.
Because Appa is recording.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದಿಲ್ಲ.
Okay. No,
but I don't get any disturbance from you.
But we are having lot of noise when he's reading.
Tishtati, it remains. That has hands and feet. That Nyayam Brahma has hands and feet on all sides, has eyes, heads and mouths, or faces on all sides, has ears on all sides in the bodies of the people, and remains pervading everything.
Brahman is the causal upadhi of all beings. Here, Brahman is presented not as one of the objects in creation, but with upadhi as all objects, revealing how it is not asat. In the next verse, he will show how it is na sat. Through superimposition and negation, the entire creation becomes mithya and Brahman, its truth, satya.
Yeah, this upadhi, this word you have to carefully understand. Upadhi meaning upasamipe tishtati. That is the meaning. Upasamipe tishtati meaning, suppose you have a crystal, yes, a clear crystal, and near that if you keep a flower, the famous Shastra example is red flower, kusuma, that what do you call? The red flower is there, no, the kusumas, japa kusuma. That flower, if you keep near a crystal, the crystal will look red. Okay, there the problem with that example is both the flower and crystal are real, in the sense in the same level of reality. So one creates a color impression in the crystal, but the crystal itself is colorless. So the colorless crystal, colorlessness is a different level of reality. Whereas the color of the flower and color of anything is another level of reality. So the colorlessness of the spatikam is undisturbed by any color nearby. In the same way, that is called upadi. The upadi flower is considered to be the upadi for the crystal. Even though the crystal looks like red because of the kusumam flower, but it is colorless. In the same way, the Brahman that is presented is because being reflected, like as I told you, when you put a light on in a room, the objects are seen. It is not because the light and the objects are of the same level of reality. Actually, because of the light you are seeing the objects. Without light you cannot see the objects. So light is the ultimate reality. That you are seeing a particular object, giving it a name and all are only vyavahara. It doesn't have a reality of its own. That is what is trying to say. Upadi. Upadi meaning adjunct. As I have told you before also in Tamil, we got this word upadai. Upadai is a defect. So we are looking at all things as things because of the defect in our understanding. That is why it's called upadi. There is no item called upadi. If you are able to see the things as they are, then there is no, everything is satyam only. But you see it differently on the basis of your own perception, conception, memory, and all your past grudges, future insecurities, and all the, because of that you see the world. The Swamiji always used to say, Jagat is Jagat. Jagat is mithya because of your long understanding. Otherwise, Jagat is Sarvam. Sarvam Kalvitam Brahma. In Brahman's understanding, everything is its glory.
Yes.
If you can see it like that, then there is no upadi, there is no mithya, there is only satyam. That is what ultimately at the end of the Shastra, it says Sarvatma Bhava. You are Sarvam. There is no second there. And everything is my glory. You must be able to see that. Then there is no issue. Till then you have to understand that I am Satyam, everything else is Mithya because of my wrong understanding. You have to keep on. That wrong understanding is emphasized by saying that Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. So that is how we have to understand this word Upadi. Yeah.
In anything that exists, the existence belongs to Brahman. The world is taken as existent, as something.
Yeah, that is what I was trying to tell. Existent is different from existence. Existence is reality. Existent is your projection. Existent this way, that way and all. Yeah.
As something that is, and the existence because of which the world appears as empirically true is Brahman, the ultimate reality, Paramartha Satya. Because of this Satyam Brahma, which provides the existence for everything, the world is never taken as non-existent. Brahman, which is to be known, Jnaya, has been revealed as having no beginning, Anadimat. Therefore it is said here, Tishtati, it remains without motion. This one word tells everything. It is Purna, whole, as was said before, limitless, Para. Being neither Sat nor Asat, it is Atma. This world is not separate from this Brahman, which we know from the next line, is without attributes, Nirguna. From this we understand that the creation is a superimposition upon Brahman. The names and forms have no existence of their own, all their existence being supplied by Brahman. If you analyze any given object, it will resolve into Brahman, consciousness, Atma. First, it is established that Brahman exists, but not as one of the objects in the world. It is the whole Jagat. Therefore, Tishtati, without motion, Brahman remains. All motions take place within that, while it does not change, does not have any motion. Being without motion, it remains pervading everything, Sarvam Avritya Tishtati. With Maya Upadi, Brahman is transformed, as it were, into this creation. When you analyze what any given object is, it disappears and consciousness alone remains. Therefore, we understand that the whole thing is superimposed upon consciousness, that is Brahman. And this consciousness can shake off everything and still be, while nothing can shake off consciousness and have a being. That Brahman which is to be known and which has already been unfolded as Na Sat Na Asat Anadimat Param Brahma is said to have hands and feet on all sides. Sarvataha Pani Padam. Wherever there are hands and feet, they are the hands and feet of Brahman. One consciousness appears as the whole creation in the form of 5 elements that have themselves become hands, legs, and so on. Thus, all these are nothing but Param Brahma. In Purusha Sukta, the same thing has been said elaborately. He has countless heads, eyes, and feet. Sahasra Sirsha Purushaha, Sahasraksha Sahasrapat. Sahasra has the same meaning here as Sarvataha. All hands and legs, including mine and those of a mosquito, are nothing but Brahman. Then again it has Sarvataha Akshihi, eyes on all sides. As many eyes as there are, not only on this planet, but elsewhere also, are his. And all the heads and mouths, faces are his. Sarvatokshis Shiromukam, as well as all ears in the world. Sarvataha Shutimat Loke. Wherever there is a physical body, which is nothing but an assembly of various limbs, that is Brahman. The mention of eyes and ears implies not only the physical body, but also the subtle body, and therefore the entire gross and subtle world is included. Pervading all this, Brahman, which is Atma, exists. Sarvam Avritya Tishtati. Therefore, we understand that it is Purna. Although everything cannot be mentioned, the entire vision is given in a few broad strokes by saying that all the hands, legs, eyes, and ears are Brahmans. Any vision, including the vision of Vedanta, is always created in a few quick strokes. Gradually, we analyze it afterwards. Shankara says here that by the upadhis, such as body, mind, and senses, the existence of the Kshetrajna is established. Why has he chosen only the living beings? Why not mountains and so on? If he includes mountains, rivers, and so on, here he has to make the point that it is not inert. By saying living beings, he established the consciousness for Brahman.
Establishes consciousness for
Brahman.
Chetana. The since rock means again Chetanatvam you have to explain. Here living beings and Chetanatvam is already assumed.
Brahman alone is Satya. Everything else is Mithya. All upadhis are by nature Mithya because there is no conditioning factor, upadhi, without the thing that is conditioned. Upahita vastu. Basically, Upahita vastu in the flower. Upahita, in the sense, the crystal alone has the capability of reflecting the flower's color. So, Upahita vastu is Chetanata, colorless, changeless, Atma. And everything gets colored because of our Upadhi. Upadhi in the sense, the light, it lights up. Whatever way you want to name it, you can name it as apple or you can name it as mango, it will bless. All your ignorance also it will bless. Your wrong understanding also, misunderstanding, everything it will bless. Because it's light. Its nature is like even the example of the sun. Sun lights up the gutter and the river equally. It doesn't have any paramoksha. The same way, the light of consciousness will light up anything and everything, whatever you name it, you call it. That is why but the fact is, since you are not aware of the reality, you always take it from a limited sense. Then it becomes an upadhi. Otherwise, it's all sarvam kalvidam Brahma only. There is only Brahman. Upadhi comes because of that defective understanding. That is why it's called upadhi. So there is no thing called upadhi separately. It's all only sarvam Brahman. But when you don't understand, it's called upadhi. Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah. So upahita vastu. A crystal, for example, is conditioned or transformed, as it were, by a colored cloth, the upadhi. By establishing the existence of the upadhi of all hands, feet, and so on for Brahman, the existence of Brahman, the Kshetrajna, is established and its non-existence negated. Because of Kshetra alone, it is called Kshetrajna. And it is not just one Kshetra, because he has already said, know me in all the Kshetras, Sarva Kshetrasu, Kshetreshu Mam Vidhi.
Sarva Kshetreshu Mam Vidhi.
When
What he is saying is, Brahman is not sitting and doing the job of doing. It is, that is all. But since you say there is a Kshetra and X, Y, Z and all that, the Kshetrajna is aware of X, Y, Z. We say Kshetrajna. The Kshetrajna, the term itself, because of the Kshetra, because of the variety of things we transact in life, we call it Kshetrajna, and Kshetra is all my objects and all that. But there is nothing. As far as the reality is concerned, there is only reality. Neither there is Kshetra nor Kshetrajna. It is only Brahman or Atma, I the being. And Brahman is not something distant, it is only you, the being. Right now, the awareful being in all of us, the being is the same. Because of that, we are able to see our own body, mind, senses, emotions, our understanding, our lack of understanding. And the same way of everyone else, we keep discussing. All our discussing is only on words meaning, and wherever meaning does not reflect the correctness, we keep on discussing it further so that we get more and more clarity. But the whole thing, even the vichara, finally it is mithya. At the end of it, there is no guru, no shishya and all, it will come later. But till the time you understand all these are helping you to understand it better. Because of this, that is where this mithya, even though mithya glory, Swamiji used to say, you have to look at it reverentially because it helps you to understand Satyam. That is how we are doing. All of our vyavahara is done only if we know that all these are helping me to get to my Purnatvam, then even whatever we do also we will look at it reverentially. Including our own body, that's why our body is a temple, all those things. Everyone is a temple basically. Every Jantu is a temple. We can worship anything. That is why we are able to worship a tree, a stone also. So that is how it is. Yeah.
in all the Kshetra, there is only one Brahman, and that is Satya. Everything else becomes Upadhi. Because of a host of particular attributes, the varieties of bodies, each having its own peculiarity created by the differences in the Upadhis, which are Mithya, Brahman appears to be manifold. Since they are created by the Mithya Upadhis, they are also Mithya, like a crystal appearing to have a color because of the proximity of the cloth. Here, the color in the crystal is Mithya, while the crystal is Satya, relatively. But the limitation of this example is that ultimately the crystal is Mithya too. We cannot therefore extend this to say that the attributes of the Upadhis are Mithya, while the Upadhi is Satya. The Upadhi is as Mithya as its attributes. The only point here is that the attributes created by the differences in Upadhis are Mithya. Because of these differences in the physical bodies, minds and senses, there appear to be differences for Atma.
Basically you have to understand clearly, this Atma, the reality of Atma is timeless, spaceless, objectless being, is a different level of reality compared to all these objects and people and all that. So that level of reality being different, we cannot have an example. There is no example for Atma. We can only give a relative example where both the Upadhi as well as the crystal which reflects the color, both are relative only. The crystal also is only relative. That's what he is trying to say. It is not like crystal is not Atma. Atma is unique. But the example you have to take only to the extent it conveys the meaning that crystal, the color of the crystal is colorless, and because of the color of the cloth it appears red. The redness is due to the Upadhi. Upadhi meaning it gives a wrong perception of the colorless crystal as colored. Because it's creating a defect in our understanding, it is called Upadhi. That's all. It is flower per se is not Upadhi. Flower is flower. But it creates a wrong understanding that the crystal is red color. In that circumstance, it is called Upadhi. In the same way, all our we are transacting with the world. Because of the transaction in the world, we feel there is so much of variety and all that. And because of that, we think that our being Our Atma is also having hands and legs, and it is having limitation. It has its own problems, etc. It's all superimposed because of the wrong understanding. That is why it becomes Vidya. Otherwise, per se, they are all vibhutis.
Yes.
That clarity should be there, yeah. Because the Upadhi word is very complicated if you don't understand it properly. It's not there is no object called Upadhi in life. Yeah.
One Brahman appears in the form of all the bodies with their attributes. This Brahman is the reality of the Kshetra, consisting of the body, mind and senses, which has already been proved as Mithya. The physical body is reduced to cells and the cells to DNA. You can keep going until you arrive at pure existence, which cannot be reduced. That alone is Satya. Everything else is Mithya. Once you understand that these various attributes are Mithya, you are negating the Mithya and appreciating the Satya.
Yeah. What is Mithya is also Brahman. Clay has varieties of forms. Our Swami is better. Yeah.
That noise keeps coming, Swamiji. When we...
So what I should do?
உங்களால் ஒன்றும் பண்ண முடியாதுல்ல. What can you do?
You keep a little away from your mic.
அதனால தானா? Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Clay has varieties of forms. When you see that all the forms are Mithya, clay becomes Satya. Similarly, when you see that all the Upadhis and their attributes like hands, legs, eyes, ears and so on are all Mithya, the Vastu, Brahman remains as the Satya of this Mithya world. This is na Sat, na Asat. Even though what is Mithya is presented, because Mithya cannot exist without Satya, Satya is also revealed. Whatever is Mithya has its basis in what is real, its nature being such that it has to depend upon another thing for its being. By presenting the world as the Upadhi of Brahman, the existence of Brahman is presented. All the eyes and all the ears and so on being Brahman means that none of them is separate from Brahman. But at the same time, they are not the intrinsic dharmas of Brahman. They are purely incidental dharmas superimposed upon Brahman. Those who know the teaching tradition, Sampradaya with.
Sampradaya with is the one, with meaning one who knows the Sampradaya. It's called with. Yeah, Sampradaya.
Say the same thing. Adhyaropa apavadabhyam. Prapancham prapanchet.
Adhyaropa apavadabhyam nishprapancham prapanchate. Meaning, what it in the sense, see the idea of what all this whole world, what we are transacting world is, helps us that you see the glory of each and every aspect of the world. The order, basically physical order, chemical order, physiological order, and biological order, zoological order, everything is by giving reality. Actually, the reality belongs to the conscious being, the existence. But giving reality to all these things as individually, you are recognizing the glories. Actually, the glories belong to the conscious being. They do not exist independent of the conscious being. So, by bringing them in, you are recognizing the glories, and then having understood that glory of all this is not their glory, it is the glory of the conscious being, Satchit Ananda Swarupam, then you remove. Once you understand this, you remove Apavada. Apavada meaning removal. First you superimpose, then you remove. Once you do that, you understand the glory of the being. That is, Nishprapancham is the reality. Prapanchate is the what we see in the world as different varieties and all that. So, what it says is, the world and its glories definitely gives us the understanding or the purnatvam of the being. Otherwise, you will not be, if you don't understand it that way, that you will always feel, what? I am neither timeless, spaceless, objectless being. What is the big deal? You will think that way. Whereas, now once you understand the being is only giving the consciousness to all the variety of life, once you understand it, then you can do the apavada. Adhyaropa apavadabhya nishprapancham prapanchade. It looks like the Srishti Karta, the Ishvara, gave you a prakriya, a model by which you can understand your own glory. That is precisely, it looks like. So, this can be used as a prakriya, meaning methodology by which you explain the whole understanding of Shastra. You can say, this has been a model given to Srishti Karta. Ishvara has given you a model by which you can understand your own glory. By seeing all the variety of things and understanding that the variety of things under the order, all the order, the niyati, niyanta, everything is the glory of your own being. Because when you analyze, you find that finally what remains is only the conscious being. Like what he was telling. If you break down the part, it becomes a clay to molecule, molecules to atoms, atoms to finally what you see only conscious, it's a concept. Molecule, everything is only a concept. The concept is lighted by my being. So all perception and conception are lighted by the being. So the being's glory alone is reflecting as a world. Once you understand that, there is a sense of purnatvam of the being. The whole world seems to be helping you to understand your own glory. That is precisely, that is what is the meaning of Adhyaropa Apavadabhyam Nishprapancham Prapanchade. By means of superimposition and negation, that which is free from the fivefold world is revealed. Yeah.
Swamiji, apavadabhya.
Apavada means negation.
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 Tamil apavadam சொல்லுவாங்கல்ல apavadam.
There is actually one more thing. Apavadam is you are contradicting yourself. There is a contextually different meaning is there.
Contradiction.
The sense you say something and you contradict yourself, it is called apavada. But here, apavada is deliberately done. That is why it says somewhere, deliberate superimposition negation. It is not by lack of understanding. By understanding, you are deliberately understand that all this is the glory of the being, and you by negating, by seeing the reality, you are able to negate that you say pot is only clay is only molecules is only atoms, and atoms are finally only concepts, and the concept is lighted by me, the being. By deliberate superimposition and negation, you understand the reality of your being. Whereas even if you don't know, you are anyway living that way. You are living that way, saying that without knowing that so many varieties are there. That's all. Either you say it's my part or your part, something like that. Still we are dealing with it, but we don't know the reality. So we are caught because it doesn't. You cannot impute a reality which doesn't belong to it, and you impute a reality and suffer. You want it to be, because you are essentially changeless, you want the changeless nature to be in the pot. The pot will anyway break. That is why our own body is called Kayame Payada, Katadaita Payada. Our body also is like a pot only. But we think that it is Shashvatam. So that is precisely, we have to apavada. By deliberately doing the apavada, we get to understand. If you don't do it, Bhagavan has his own ways of making you understand. Like, he will anyway go. So all those things are there. So that is why he says, this Adhyaropa Apavadabhyam Nishprapancham Prapanchate is a deliberate superimposition, and by negation, you can understand that Atma, the being, is free from the fivefold world inside and fivefold world outside. All our hands, legs and so on are all superimposed. Nothing belongs to us. It's only just put together, just assemblage. Anytime they can break. If they break, you don't have to be surprised. If they don't break only, you must be surprised. So that's what he says. All our hands and legs and so on are superimposed as though they are someone's qualities and then negated. Yeah.
Swamiji, apavada is exception.
Apavada is in this particular case is negation. No, apavada is not exception. Apavada is what do you call? Contradiction. Contradiction, yeah. Here he says, no, it seems contradictory. Next line he says that, yeah. Here you read, next line he says, it seems contradictory.
All our hands, legs, and so on are superimposed as though they are Brahman's qualities and then negated. It seems contradictory. Here there is an apparent contradiction. Brahman was first presented as neither Sat nor Asat, which means it has to be free from all attributes, nirguna. Any object that we appreciate as is must have attributes. It is neither
If it is.
if it is neither an existent nor a non-existent thing, we know that it is not zero because we have already said it is Nayam Brahma. Thus we understand this is Atma, which is free from attributes. Then he says this Brahman has all hands and legs, all eyes and ears, and so on, and remains without motion in the form of the whole creation. There is no contradiction. There are lingas for the
These are.
these are lingas for the existence of Brahman. Sankara says these are all lingas, indications for the existence of Brahman and its powers. The hands and legs are not mere limbs ornamenting the body. They enjoy certain powers and are meant for the sake of execution of certain tasks. So too, with eyes and ears and so on, each of them has certain power, Shakti. In Brahman, the cause of everything is a threefold creative power of Maya, Jnana Shakti, the capacity to know, Icha Shakti, the capacity to desire, Kriya Shakti, the capacity to act, which manifests in the product, Karya. The hands are an expression of Kriya Shakti, the sense organs, that are Jnana Shakti. The very fact that we see these Shaktis indicates that they exist in their cause. An effect must have the properties of the cause. If there is a live being, it is born of life. If it is a clay pot, it is produced from clay and has the properties of clay. Everything can
Let
be
me read.
Ah.
Everything can be reduced to Satyam Brahma in the various instruments that everyone has, such as the mind, the senses, and the organs of action. All these powers are expressed and must necessarily be preceded by the powers of obtaining in the cause. By the powers expressed by the eyes, ears, and so on, the powers in the cause are inferred. Therefore, Brahman that has these powers exists. If all hands, leg, etc. are Brahmans, Brahman exists not as any one object in the creation, but as the whole creation. It pervades everything without moving. This is not pantheism, wherein the cause becomes the effect. It is true that the whole creation is the Lord, but the Lord is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma, and therefore free from all this. We do not say that the cause has become the world, but that there is no world separate from its cause.
Yeah, we have told this, B is A is not B. Same thing, Amitabh Bachchan, Becker, same thing. Only that he must be able to reduce it and bring it to bear that whatever we transact as called world, they exist in my presence, existence, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. And Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma is not dependent on the variety of the world. The variety of the world keeps on changing. Born is gone, born is gone, born is gone happening. But Kutastha, the changeless being, lights up all those changes but remains changeless and it is unaffected. So that is our reality. That we have to understand. That is precisely the understanding which we are aiming at. Yeah.
We do not say that the cause has become all. We do not say that the cause has become the world, but there is no world separate from its cause. What we call the world is mithya. When time-space is mithya, where is the question of everything that falls within the time-space framework being anything but mithya? For the word body, for example, there is no particular object. The skin, flesh, nerves, bones, marrow, each has its own object. If you take away these objects, there will be no physical body at all. Then each of these objects is also reducible to its own substance. To analyze marrow, only the substance that constitutes marrow remains as Satya. Everything will end up in particles, in concepts. What remains alone is Satya. What obtains at this moment when you see an object? For an object to be seen, there must be a vritti, a thought. And there is certain time involved for the vritti to occur and go. If you just look at the length of time of now, this moment, it reduces to no length of time at all. That is the truth. In between, certain things happen, and that we call Maya, the reality of which is Mithya. The following verse makes this point clear. Verse 14, the connection between Satya and Mithya is always paradoxical. Sarvendriya guna basam, sarvendriya vivarjitam.
Vivarjitam only. Sarvendriya guna basam, sarvendriya vivarjitam. Yeah.
Sarvendriya guna basham, sarvendriya vivarjitam, asaktam sarva prachaiva, nirgunam guna bhoktracha. Sarvendriya gunabhasam appearing as the attributes of all the organs. Sarvendriya vivarjitam.
Abhasam meaning appearance. Abhasam is not real. Even in Tamil, abhasam is not real.
Sarvendriya vivarjitam, free from all the organs, asaktam, unattached. Sarvabrit cha eva, and sustainer of all. Nirgunam, free from the three qualities, guna bhoktricha, and the experiencer of the three qualities.
Yeah, paradoxical. See, when we say free from gunas, but blessing all the gunas. So it's paradoxical. Paradoxical meaning it appears confusing, but if you want to understand it thoroughly, then you will get the clarity. The whole Gita is full of paradoxes.
That Nyayam Brahma appears as one with attributes of organs, is free from all the organs, is unattached, is the sustainer of all, is free from the three qualities, and is the experiencer of the three qualities.
Three qualities he has mentioned, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. That Maya, it's a model of Maya. Maya Prakriti, that's actually given by the Sankhya philosophy. Bhagavan himself seems to have borrowed from the Sankhya philosophy and blessed them. Okay, by saying that Maya has got Sattva, Rajas, Tamo Guna, you have really given a good Srishti Prakriya. He seems to have blessed the Sankhyas. Though finally they don't understand the reality, that's a different thing. But the Upanishad and the Gita has borrowed from the Sankhya philosophy to say the Maya Prakriti is a combination of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Yeah.
Brahman appears in the form of all upadhis and their gunas. All the organs will include the Jnanendriyas, sense organs and also Karmendriyas, organs of action. Sense organs include Jnanendriyas, sense organs and also Karmendriyas, organs of action.
Yeah.
It include the Antakarana with its functions of mind and intellect, because neither the sense organs nor the organs of action can function without it. The ears and eyes, etc. become upadhis for you to gain perception with the help of
the upadhi
It's mistake.
Antakarana.
of Antakarana alone.
something happened. Can you read? Sorry.
The ears and eyes, etc. become upadhis for you to gain perception.
I will read it, sir.
With the,
Yeah, you read.
Yes, that's what I heard.
Just a minute. Brahman appears in the form of all upadhis. That is the thing.
Yeah, correct. Read.
Brahman appears in the form of all upadhis and their gunas. All the organs will include the Jnanendriyas, sense organs, and also Karmendriyas, organs of action. We also include the Antakarana, which is functions of mind and intellect, because neither the sense organs nor the organs of action can function without it. The ears, the eyes, etc. become upadhis for you to gain perception with the help of the upadhi of antakarana alone. The conscious mind must first be there, and that mind must identify with the senses before they can gain their individual capacities. Voice is clear? Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, clear. Read.
Shankara mentions a few of these gunas. The particular feature of the buddhi is ascertainment, uncertainty, sankalpa, and viveka. Sankalpa and vikalpa is a feature of the mind. The result following this uncertainty, the nishchayatmika antakarana vritti is the buddhi. What shines avabhasate, what shines, in other words, avabhasate, in the form of the attributes or expressions of all these indriyas is jnanam,
Is Nyayam Brahma.
Nyayam Brahma, which has already been revealed as Atma. Where is Brahman? In every expression of the eyes, ears, etc., Brahman shines in that form. When you see, Brahman shines as the seeing function of the sense organ, eyes. First, it was said that Brahman appears as all the upadhis, and here we shown that it appears in the form of upadhi gunas also. However, it is free of all of them. The difficulty now is, if Brahman is always expressed in these forms, if all these attributes are intrinsic to Brahman and Atma is Brahman, I can never shake off seeing or hearing or talking. Therefore, Bhagavan says, Sarvendriya Vivarjitam. Sarvendriya Vivarjitam, free from all organs. It is free from all the senses, organs of action and mind. That is why they are called upadhis. If a stone is naturally blue in color, then the blueness is not due to upadhi. But suppose it is a crystal near a blue object, then that object is upadhi to the crystal, accounting for its blue appearance. The attributes here is upadhi. Brahman appears with the attributes of all the indriyas, and at the same time free from all the indriyas and their attributes. It is a paradox, but the truth is such that it can be unfolded only in this form. If the Atma is free from the body, etc., how do I have a body? These paradoxes exist only when you do not understand. This is all explainable, and once it is explained, there are two paradoxes.
There are no paradox.
And there are no paradoxes. But these seeming paradoxes are important to reveal the nature of infinite Brahman, which is not subject to time and upon which everything else depends for its existence. Firstly, by Adhyaropa, by superimposing the attributes of all the organs, by saying Sarvendriya Guna Abhasam. Abhasam. And then by negation, Apavada, showing that it is free from all organs, Sarvendriya Vivarjitam. The truth of Brahman is revealed. Next para. The connection between Satya and Mithya is always paradoxical. Through the activities of all the Indriyas, Brahman, which is inactive, is seemingly active. Elsewhere, Shruti says that Atma, as though meditates dhyayati iva, and is though agitated lilayate iva. Both
See, the quote is Bhagavad Gita 4.3.7, that this mantra appears. That in order to explain that the whole thing is as though, Iva Sabda is a very important thing in Shastra. Iva means as though. So, Atma is dhyayati iva lelayati iva. As if you are sitting in meditation, as if you are active, but in both the cases, even sitting in meditation and going and being active in the world, both are eva only. As far as Atma is concerned, it is. His existence, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, it is lighting up the whole thing. Whether you meditate or go and be active. That Eva Sabda tells this whole attribute is only a Vidya attribute. In the sense, it helps us to understand the dimension of the glory, the whole order, physical order, chemical order, psychological order, physiological order, botanical order, everything only tells us the glory of the vibhuti of the being, which is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, which is Desakala Vastu Aparichinnam, timeless, spaceless, objectless being, which is Atma. When it expands, the glory is revealed in all these upadhis and Sarva Panipadam Tat, like that, and sun, moon, everything is my glory. In order to make us understand the glory, these incidental attributes are there, and as if they are really active, there is an order, there is an empirical reality, there is a sunrise, there is a sunset, everything keeps happening. Because it keeps on happening day in and day out, there is an empirical reality, they can be measured and all that. We think that these are all real, but they are all nothing but the mithya vibhutis of the awareness being. Either you can call it Atma or Brahman. Either way, it is only the as I have always explained, it is thing like Anuron Aniyan Mahato Maniyan. When you extrapolate the glory of the atom to the nucleus, you find the nucleus expansion is much bigger and much vast compared to the atom explosion. The same way, when we extrapolate it further, the Pujya Bhavana, that the objectless, timeless, spaceless being will have the glory of the entire world. Extremes are always equal, like zero and the infinity. Both are one and the same, both different ends. And our being is the nameless, formless, timeless, spaceless, objectless being, and the glory is the infinite, which is called Jagat. And since for us to perceive, to understand the glory, all this world is available for us as an adhya or superimposition on the glory of the being. And once we negate, when you do the apavada, you get to understand the nishprapancham. Without this prapancham also, you have got the glory of doing this, the capability of making it, the prapancham exist and thrive, various orders, various as though realities. Lelayativa, Dhyayativa, it is available, presented before you, all the glories. By seeing their glories, you can understand your glory. Because otherwise you will never be able to understand your glory, because it is timeless, spaceless, objectless. You cannot see it, you cannot objectify it. But at the same time, you know very well that you exist as a being. Right now we know that I exist as a being, but I cannot present it. And in order to present the glory only, the whole world is there. That is the Sarvam is actually Sarvam Kalpitam. Actually there is no Sarvam. Sarvam is only Kalpitam, Maya, varieties. But the glory belongs to you. That is precisely what Shastra is trying to say. Satyam and Vidya. Yeah.
There is a footnote. Brahmadaranya Upanishad.
Brahmadaranya Upanishad. Yeah. The Dhyayativa, Elayativa comes from Brahmadaranya.
437. Then Sweta Swarupa Upanishad.
That is coming in the next.
Sweta Swata Rupa.
Sweta Swata Upanishad. That comes in the next page. That is for the next footnote. Yeah, read this.
Okay. This extends to all the activities without exception. Brahman eats as it were because it is as though hungry. The paradoxes arise because the whole thing is the connection between Satya and Mithya. Satya and Mithya. Where there is no possibility of connection. Though Atma is not active, it appears to be active through the expression of the sense organs of action and the mind. These expressions are not possible without the presence of Atma. That does not mean that there are two entities and that you have to transcend all these indriyas to get to the Atma. Atma remains transcended in spite of being active. That is why it is presented. It was presented as Sarvendriya Gunabhasa. That is why it was presented as Abhyasa. It appears active in the form of expressions of senses, mind, etc. It appears active, but it is itself not active. The difference must be very clearly seen. Otherwise, we will have a duality of one entity which is active and the other which is not active. These indriyas do not exist without the existence satta of mind of Atma, and do not express without the consciousness Chaitanya of Atma. The senses, etc., partake of the consciousness, that is the Atma, and the existence of any one of them is not away from the existence, is the Atma. Away from the existence, that is the Atma. Shankara explains further that Brahman, which is Atma, is not to be understood. Is not to be understood as always, as that which has activities. If that were so, you could not stop the activities and still be. But you do stop, and you also switch from one activity to another. That is possible because Atma is not active. Shruti also says, without hands, the feet, without hands and feet, Atma runs and grasps. Without eyes, he sees. Apanipada. Okay. Apanipada javano.
Apani pado javano grahita pasyati achakshuhu. The sense it comes in Shvetasvatara Upanishad. See what it says is even in Kena Upanishad comes like chakshuhu achakshuhu. The sense it gives the power for the eyes to see, but itself is achakshuhu. So that is how it is. The consciousness without which eyes cannot see, but the seeing is not the function of the Chaitanya. So all the time we must see this. The whole thing, the changeless is the reality, but the changing that happens, you cannot even appreciate the changing without the changeless being there. This is what I have always been telling. The changeless gives satta and spurti to the changing. You are able to appreciate the changing world because of the changeless Atma. Otherwise, you cannot perceive change. If you are also changing, you will never have a proper world view at all. You will not see the same person because you yourself will change. That is a person. Even you yourself will change. The person you saw yesterday, you would have also changed. So you will never be able to appreciate. Every day you will give a different name to the same person. And they will give you a different name. So if that transaction itself is not possible. Because you are kutastha and changeless, you are able to really say that there is a world outside. And so it is your glory, because of that there is a world outside. That is precisely what we have to appreciate.
Apani pado javano grahita pashyati achashut.
Pasyati achakshutu meaning pasyati is seeing. Achakshutu means no seeing.
Seta Swataropanishad.
That is a paradox. Yeah.
Okay. That means it is free from all the upadhis, but always the expressions is in keeping with the upadhi. With the hands it becomes the one grasps, with the legs the one who walk, etc. With the ears the one who hears. Thereby the expressions sarvendriya guna abasyam.
Abhasam. Guna abhasam means so. Iva. Guna abhasam means iva. As if it has having the guna of seeing, walking and all that. As if. But itself it doesn't move anything, but it gives because of its satta and spurti, because of its vibhuti, the hands are able to walk, hold, legs are able to walk. Both of them you have to understand, both part of it. Yeah.
And sarvendriya vivarjitam are both perfect. There is no contradiction. But until the meaning is understood, there appears to be one. Because we are dealing with Satya and Mithya, Adya Rupa and Apavada is to be done. From the standpoint of the Upadhi, it performs all activities. From the standpoint of Swarupa, it is free from movement. When what Shruti says does not seem possible, then we have to see the context. We know that the sentence is meaningful because it is a statement of the Shruti. So it is just a question of correct understanding. If an intelligent person says, the white runs, I cannot dismiss this statement as meaningless. By seeing the context, I understand that that he is saying that the white horse is running. How can it be? His original statement is one of the implication. A Lakshana Vakya. We understand Sarvendriya Gana Abhyasa.
Guna. Sarvendriya Guna Abhasa.
Guna Abhasa.
For the Lakshya, which is Sarvendriya Vivarjitam. Sarvendriya Vivarjitam in the sense, no, Atma does not have any Indriyam. That is the Lakshya. But it appears as hands and legs. That is Abhasa. So, appearing as hands and legs is Abhasa. Whereas it doesn't have any hands and legs is Vivarjitam. Varjitam means not having. So the whole, sometime back we read, no? Acharanam, it is said, Yato vacham vivartante apapya manasa saha. Meaning, the watch, it is not the vachyartha, it is a lakshyartha. Meaning, by going through the world, you have, by implication, you must understand the glory of the being. By implication, by lakshya, you understand the glory, but appears as many. But actually, the glory of the many is the one being, that is the powerful being, Brahman, Atma, etc. So that is a lakshya, but it is not available in vachyartha. By looking at hands as hands, you will not be able to understand the glory of the being which allows the hands to function as hands. We just analyze a hand, we think that we are just moving. So many neurons, so much of medical science is involved. It's because one fine morning when you lift the hand, it will not lift. Then only you understand. Till date, 70 years, it has been functioning without murmur. You took it for granted, but so much of Chaitanyam is involved. Because of that, it has powered the cells, it has powered the joints, it has powered so many genes, DNA, so many things have gone and sustained without failing. No fail-safe mechanism and all that. Continuously it has been functioning. That is all the beauty, the glory of the being, the powerful being. But expressed in terms of hands and legs. So Guna Abhasa, hands and legs movement is Guna Abhasa. The reality is the Guna Varjitam is your reality, the being, the glory of the being. That is what he is trying to say. Yeah.
We
We'll
understand.
stop here.
Swami.
Yeah, we will stop. We understand this particular
We
topic.
understand Sarvendriya Guna Abhasa as a Lakshana for the Lakshya, which is Sarvendriya Vivarjitam.
Yes. Here we stop. Beautiful.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Guru Namaha Hari Om. Dhanyawad Swamiji.